What's up? This is Elia Einhorn. Welcome back to the Talkhouse podcast. Today I'm joined by
Nick Dawson, editor-in-chief of Talkhouse Film. That's me.
And we have a very cool three-way conversation for you on today's episode. Miguel Arteta, Alia Shawkat, and Paul Feig.
This is a fun one.
Boom.
I love that this happened. I love that I was there in the room. I love that I got to bring these people together.
And Nick, how did this come together?
Well, Miguel is a friend of Talkhouse, as all great creative people are.
Of course.
Of course. He and I were talking a few weeks ago. He told me he was going to be in town for Tribeca with Duck Butter, this amazing movie that he directed, which he co-wrote with Alia Shawkat. And I was like, we got to do something while Miguel and Alia are here.
Oh, yeah.
And I did a little thinking. I did a little look at the Tribeca Film Festival schedule. And I was like, wait, Miguel and Alia are here. And Paul Feig is here as well with the Freaks and Geeks documentary.
I cannot wait to see it.
And Miguel and Alia are collaborators. Miguel worked with Paul on Freaks and Geeks. Alia worked with Paul on Arrested Development. Like, all these guys know each other. They're all awesome. We have to get them in a room. And then it kind of happened pretty smoothly. So, hallelujah.
Now, listeners, just in case you're unaware, Paul Feig is, of course, famously the creator of Freaks and Geeks. He's also the director of a bunch of brilliant movies that all happen to have Melissa McCarthy acting in them. So think about Spy, The Heat, Bridesmaids, most recently, the Ghostbusters reboot.
Yeah, he's hit this amazing seam of work as a director, through this partnership with Melissa McCarthy the past 6 or 7 years. And talking of great partnerships, Miguel and Alia are pretty fucking great as well. They co-wrote Duck Butter, which is, I love this movie.
You love this movie.
I love this movie. It's funny, it's profound. It's a relationship comedy drama where these two people who've just met and sort of fallen for each other make a pact to have sex every 2 hours for 24 hours. And it's awesome. And of course, Miguel and Alia worked together previously on Cedar Rapids, which is just one of the many awesome movies that Miguel has made. Chuck and Buck, The Good Girl, and last year's Beatrice at Dinner. Alia, of course, is best known for Arrested Development. She played Maybe. Oh, I see what you did there. That's brilliant. And of course, she's currently the lead in the excellent Search Party on TBS.
Now, these three friends and collaborators really get into it. Aside from talking about Duck Butter and the new Freaks and Geeks doc, they cover Miguel taking a year off of making films to do yoga, eat pizza, and watch movies.
That is my dream.
That's the dream.
They talk about morning routines.
They take in how both Freaks and Geeks and Arrested Development are, to use Alia's quote, positive albatrosses in their career.
It is a real thing and not something that people talk about a lot. Sometimes people are they act in, or they write, or they direct something really amazing, and that often leads to people not wanting to talk about anything else but that, where you're just like, please, just let's talk about something
what I'm
else.
actually doing right now.
Yes, like something recent, something which is not just that one thing.
We hear about Alia's really good pot.
I wish she'd had some left over. That would have been very cool. And the reason that she cheats on the New York Times crossword, not cheats, checks, confirms.
They also cover their decisions not to have kids and why that lifestyle's different for artists.
Ray Bradbury's fail-safe advice for writers.
The effect of daily news on their consciousness and creativity.
And why Neil Young owning a huge amount of land is really good for his songwriting process.
Should we roll it?
Let's roll the tape.
Can I start by saying
Sure.
I saw Duck Butter last night, and
cool.
it's
Thanks for seeing
so
it.
great. I really just such a wonderful film, and so emotionally heartfelt, and such a great exploration of this relationship in a tiny amount of time.
Yeah, very tiny.
Yeah, I mean, where did it come from? Because I saw you guys wrote it together.
Yeah, we did. It was like 5 years ago. We did Cedar Rapids together.
Right.
Even longer than that ago.
Yeah.
And we were at the Toronto Film Festival getting ready for something, and Miguel was like, I want to write with you. That's my impression of you.
That's nice.
It's the first time I've pulled it out.
People are scared to do them in front of me for some
Yeah.
reason.
I know.
Even though I'm not
Right, the
scared
minute
at
I
all.
said it, all of a sudden I was like, what the hell is wrong with me?
It's not like we recorded it.
Out of all the times to take the risk. But yeah, he was just like, I want to write something with you. And, it was like a 5-year process from like the beginning of saying, let's write, to actually doing it. But we kind of started just by talking at my house about the concept of why it hurts so much when you fall in love with somebody and you know that they're not right for you, but you still can't like get over them.
Right.
And how like we had both been in, sometimes more than one relationship with kind of narcissistic people who we felt like gave us our confidence.
Right.
And they were like, oh, they allow me to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize they're crazy or not right for you, and you're still like, fuck it, I'll still be with them anyways. That feels too good. So we kind of just shared lots of personal stories for like a long time. Because I was nervous at first to write, like we were friends, and it's hard to get into a writing dynamic if everyone's just like, no, that sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then cut to a couple of years in, and I was like, no, I hate that. I don't know what you're talking about. And we were able to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was all about like that like crazy swan dive into an empty pool chest first. And when you're like, okay, I don't know this person, but like it's like I'm going all in, and I know it's gonna be like just like a blood splatter at the end of this, but I don't care. I'm going in.
Yeah. Well, I like that you kind of put it in this concentrated 24-hour, where it declared period, which I thought was really, really a great way to do it.
I recommend it for people to try it. Yeah, it had started too also about a relationship that was like a year and a half, and that was just like something they did when they first met. Mm-hmm. And then someone read the script and gave us a note and was like, I just want to see the 24-hour thing. And we realized all the like scenes that we had describing this long relationship all kind of fit in, like slotted in each hour. So it was just like, we were like, oh, we don't need to tell this whole like relationship story. It could just all fit into this one period of time.
Yeah, we were like, we don't have to wait for them to be a year and bored of sex to then invite people into the bedroom and have an orgy. It could just happen in the 20th century.
Right, just a good idea. Well, it's really cool. And who's the other actress?
Laia Costa. She's a Spanish actress. Yeah, she's from Spain. She was in this film called Victoria by this German filmmaker. Yeah. And it's they rehearsed it for like 2 months or 3 months, and then they shot it all in one take.
Oh.
And it's like a kind of like a heist movie, and she's the lead of it, and it's brilliant. Yeah, it's super good. I highly recommend it.
Great.
And so she's the actress who does like weird time movies. But she was like we had offered her a smaller part originally because it was written for a guy and a girl. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of couldn't meet the right actor for the job, for whatever reason. It just like wasn't clicking, and we were still working on the script a lot, and we had Skyped with her, and she was like, yeah, I'll do the small part, but like I want to be there for the 24 hours because we shot the 24 hours, like in 24 hours, the second act.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we stayed awake for 24 hours.
Oh my God.
And shot that sequence, just the second act.
Good Lord.
Like that, yeah.
Wow.
We had 2 crews, so it was legal, but there was like Laia, Miguel, and I, the DP, Hillary, the producer, and the first AD stayed awake the whole time.
Good Lord.
And we just kept coming up with like weird ideas. We're like, I'm kind of going out of order, but we when we had told her about shooting it that way, she was like, I just want to be there to see it. And then Miguel, I remember, called me on my way back from Palm Springs and was like, Alia, I'm going to keep doing the impression, I guess.
Please do.
He's like, I think Sergio should be a woman, but not just any woman. I think it should be Laia. And I was like, okay. And it was like, it was like a lot to take in at first because it became such a different movie, but it was always the movie we wanted to make without knowing it,
I think that's a beautiful part of it. I
totally.
think that's really, wow. So what was the total production time then if you did half of it in 24 hours?
It was crazy. We shot it in 9 days. We had a luxurious 3.5 days to shoot the first 4 minutes of the movie and a luxurious 4 days to shoot the last 10. And 75% of it is shot in 27 hours of shooting. Yeah, wow. It was fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
It was so fun.
Well, it has that energy about it, because I was wondering, it felt like you did it on a tight shoot, not because of quality-wise, but just because of the intensity of the emotion and just the way that it all flowed. And
the rapid movements of stuff,
Yeah.
It was really fun. It was exhilarating, when we were done. We did, every hour, we had rehearsed it, and every hour was like, it's gone great for 17 hours, but is the 18th hour going to fall apart?
Right, exactly.
And when we got to the end, we didn't sleep for a whole nother day.
Really?
We were so excited.
Yeah, so amped up. Yeah. Exactly. It's how Jerry Lewis feels after Telva.
Exactly.
But now that he's dead, I don't know why I made that joke.
Well, hopefully that's not what killed him.
There you go. It took a bad turn.
He lives a long life.
Exactly. That's right. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
you go.
tell me, how are you doing? You came to New York for the documentary.
Yeah.
And how was it to sit with an audience and watch it?
It was fun. We did this documentary a documentary was made about freaks and geeks. Morgan Spurlock has put together some show called Culture Shock, I guess, for A&E, and they want to do, each episode is about a different thing that happened in the culture that
cool.
they think changed stuff, and they called about doing one about freaks and geeks, which was a crazy honor.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Well, thank you.
Oh, it's the
Thank
best.
you.
Yeah.
It was such a labor of love, and it's kind of terrifying when somebody wants to do a definitive telling of behind the scenes, because you just go like, if they don't get everything right, then
Totally, yeah. And
that's
who's
only
the
thing.
perspective saying it? You know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah. And there's things you want people to know, and things people assume that aren't true and all that. So, but this Brent Hodge directed it, who did a Chris Farley documentary a few years ago, and he did an amazing job. It was really, he called me up about it and said, do you want to do this? And, can I do this? I said, sure, go ahead. And so he kind of took it and ran with it. But the crazy thing was, when they wanted to do my interview, mine was one of the first ones, they said, okay, we're doing it in this place in Hollywood. So I go thinking of doing a studio, and I go into this crazy neighborhood that's really kind of sketchy. I was like, okay, what's happening? And I pull up from this house that's even sketchier looking. It's like, all right, is this some sort of...
Yeah, is this some kind of trick? Some
Right, I'm
catfish?
going into trafficking here. So I enter the house and go through this crazy house and get into the bedroom, and they had recreated Sam Weir's bedroom
Oh my God.
in this house. Yeah, and so I was like, okay, these guys are great.
Yeah.
And that's what they did in the documentary. Every interview of each actor and some of the writer-producers takes place on the recreation of one of the sets.
Oh my God, that must have been so surreal.
It was really surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're sitting there like this, oh my God, where'd you find the Steve Martin Best Fishes poster and all this stuff?
Yeah.
So that was when I realized, okay, they're going to be in great shape.
The right people, yeah.
Yeah.
It's it must be interesting to do like something like that, because I feel that way with the rest of development in some ways, where it's something that you made and obviously it was like a big part of your life and stuff, but then so many years pass and you do so many things and everyone's still like, okay, cool, but anyways, what about this? And you're like, it's not that you don't want to not talk about it, but it's like it's very interesting because you just have a certain frame of reference of certain memories and something like that, and to talk about it always and yeah, it's like, I don't know, how do you feel about that sometimes?
No, I mean, I agree with you. It's a sort of like beautiful anchor,
Yeah,
where
totally.
you're
I always
like,
called it like a positive albatross. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's an albatross I like.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm happy for it. It made my career, but it follows me everywhere.
It's so true, and it's because it's how you and I met too.
Yeah,
which
exactly,
I always
which
have a
is really
fondness
cool.
for that.
Totally, yeah.
It's so funny when first of all, you look exactly the same.
Do I? Oh,
You
thank
don't
God.
age, which is
I
very
sold my soul.
upsetting.
Yeah. It costs a lot of money.
There you go. That's right. Well, it was worth it. That portrait's up in the attic.
Yeah.
But working with you and Michael, and you were
Yeah.
both so young, but I always remember just being amazed at how funny you guys were, and also how good at like improv you were.
Right.
Like you guys would always kind of cap off a scene, with some, we'd have the scripted ending, and then
Right. The
so-
buttons. Yeah.
the buttons, and I was always like,
Totally.
gosh, these two of these people are very, very funny.
Me and Michael talked about that, like how we weren't able to realize it till later that we were like, our comedy sensibility was just kind of trained just by being around all those people all the time, that like we got used to, because like Mitch is the crazy genius of thinking of new lines. Like if he wants to replace a line, he just like all of a sudden his eyes lock somewhere in the corner of a room and you're like, oh, he's entering the space.
Here it comes.
And then he's just like, and then he has like 20 amazing options for something.
That's so funny.
And I feel like just being around that at such a young age, we were just like, okay, I guess we just like picked it up, because like my memories of that show was never like, okay, how are we going to make this scene funny? Like, what am I getting from this scene? It was literally just like looking at the sides for 2 seconds, being like, what are we doing? Okay. All right. Yeah, like just so like relaxed and chill, because we were just like, we were like 15, 16.
Oh no, totally.
Yeah,
It was a very
Very strange.
kind of relaxed set. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Here, look, I'm making you talk about the rest of the
I know,
development
look, Jesus. This is how I turn things back around to me,
No, but I get what you're saying about, because I have that too, because I'm probably more proud of Freaks and Geeks than anything, but at the same time,
Right.
you've done all those other things you're proud of too. And but so that's always nice to do this documentary. Go like, now I think maybe we've officially talked about it.
Like there's a
Right.
film about it. You could see it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's coming on A&E. So please enjoy.
I'm excited to see it. You know,
Well, you were part of it, my friend.
That's how I met
I was
you.
going to ask
Exactly.
you how you guys met.
Yes, we're all connected through our shows. I love this.
cool,
Yeah, Miguel did the infamous pot episode.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
episode. Yeah.
It was awesome. I remember coming for the job interview with Mike White. He brought me into the room
Yeah.
to you guys, and he literally right before we went to the door, he looked at me. He was like, "Job interview." But it was instantly. I was so comfortable around you. It was
nice.
so sweet, and it was so clear. I was so shocked. This is a concept I'd never had encountered. You were like, "This is my life. I wrote it." The show is like about me in high school, and it's like how not like it just is like the whole thing is. And I was like, "Oh, so we're gonna go do it on network TV?" Yes.
And get canceled very soon.
The best stuff, though. That's only the best stuff.
But it was such a beautiful experience. It's amazing. There was a lot of hearing Jod talking to the executives, which was very, very entertaining and painful. But I thought he was going to win. By the way, the whole time we were doing that, I was like, "There's no way anyone's going to deny this guy."
Right.
Like the way he's like talking to them on the phone, I was like, I was under the delusion that like you guys were totally gonna like have the show go running for 10 years.
Well, he led it. Because of him, we won all the small battles, or the most important battles, I will say.
Right, the creative ones on set, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we never had to compromise anything, but then we lost the big battle of actually getting the show picked up. Right. But at the same time, like we've got 18 episodes that we love. But it was during that time, though. I remember Mike kept telling us, "Oh yeah, I did this movie. I'm in called Chuck and Buck," and I was like, "What?" Because I love Mike, but it's kind of like, "Wait, you're acting? What's going on?" So when we went to go see it, I was kind of like, "All right, let's see what Mike has done." And I'm suddenly like, "Oh my God, it was such an amazing movie, and he was great. The direction of the script and everything." And that was just one of those moments where you're like, "Holy shit!" Like, what a deep bench of talent we have on the show, and Mike was.
It was a fun time, yeah. During that is when I convinced him to give me the Good Girl script, which he didn't want to give it to me for 2 years. Right. But I worn him down on the set of Freaking Geeks, and I was like, I got it.
It has to be a documentary about all this, just all this time.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Well, we were talking, like we were saying about how personal, obviously, Freaks and Geeks was to like your high school life. We were talking about that with Nick just a second ago about like what it means. Like we obviously, we've been doing it for a while, and there's lots of different kinds of work we do. But when you are able to make something that is just like a piece out of you, like, okay, this is it, no compromises, just like as personal as it gets, and just how rewarding that is, and how you get to do other amazing creative things sometimes that more people would see, or an opportunity to work with someone really cool, so you have to share things with them. But to be able to do something like that, because I feel like Duck Butter is that for us, it's like when you're able to make something like incredibly personal in a way, not to make it sound so hyperbolic, but it kind of like reminds you why you do it. You're like, oh, right, I can share something that's about me and something painful that happened to me, and people respond to it. You know, whether it's not even about getting like, good reviews or whatever, but people just being like, I hear you. I relate to that. And you're like, right, we're humans.
Yeah. No, it's really, I mean, when I've done small projects and big projects, it's always about what is the personal story at the center of this, you know, and whether you're going to do Ghostbusters, you're going to do whatever. It's like, what is the thing that I connect to that that hopefully people will have that emotional response to.
Totally.
And that's the most important thing, and that's the thing that gets lost in so many big projects, I feel like.
Totally. Or it's harder to have to like redefine it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Or defend it to the people that you're trying to get to pay for it.
Yeah, totally.
But it is. I mean, it's a great point, and I mean, but like a project like Duck Butter, where you expose so much of your soul, and then also in performance, that you're just being so kind of, there's no guardrail on this. I mean, what's that like as far as shooting wise?
I mean, when we were writing it, it was the first time I had written something that that we made, and I feel like writing it was even though it took longer, it was more challenging, was the easier part in a way, because you're like just us two being like, you want to get everything in there and you don't want to hold back, and you're like, yeah, and this, and then obviously when you're actually doing it, people are like, so you want the poop in the pan? And you're like, yes, I do.
We have 3 poop options here. You got to pick one.
Like, that was the most surreal and the coolest thing about writing something that got made is you're like, I wrote that little joke about the onion rings, and now you're showing me there's onion rings on the set. It's like having literally like making a dream or imagination come true. So that part was real. I mean, the acting part of it was actually, in a way, the most comforting, because usually it's about trying to create intimacy and feeling like nothing's there on a set, and there's a bunch of people and everyone's is like touching you up and being like, can you stand there and make sure you put that, and just remember you have to pick this up because you have to match from the last take, and you're like, got it, and then they're like, everyone quiet and go, and you just have to like focus and be like, wait, what am I doing? I have to try and seem present and natural in this moment on top of making other choices. But with this, it was like we kind of forgot the cameras were going to a degree, and just being really lucky with someone like Alia, like we were able to have this great chemistry that I just was like, all I had to do was look at her, and it like, brought me into it. But it definitely made like, me be like, all right, I want to do stuff that it's like we always are trying to bring our personal story to it. But I was like, what are the issues or the questions that I have in my life, and they are going to naturally reflect in the art I make. I'm like, okay, I have a problem with intimacy in relationships. Let's make a film about it.
Right, exactly.
And Miguel, you kind of taught me that by being like, I mean, not kind of, you definitely did, being like, make a film about the shit you are trying to work through. Because it was very therapeutic. There was a lot of, not exactly like that, but there was definitely moments in there that I'm like, I've lived that. And getting to act it out was very therapeutic for me.
It's very nice to make a movie about something that you don't have a handle on. And just, a part of it, I guess, is what you're talking about, the core emotional thing that people can relate to. You can't be the expert of it entirely. Otherwise, you're not finding anything out about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like Spielberg, they say it's like every movie is like about a relationship with his dad, right? Or like something like that, right? Like he still can't figure it out, so he's like, I'm going to just keep making movies. And we're like, great, we love them.
Yeah.
Hopefully you never really figure it out with your dad.
I think you see that running theme in a lot of great filmmakers' work, that you just kind of return to over and over again. I mean, I know I'm not a great filmmaker, but I know that for myself,
Yes,
it's always, I'm not.
Come on.
No, but I mean, there's definitely a theme that I hit over and over, which is like trying to figure out your place in life, being an underdog. What is your place in the world, trying to be taken seriously, that kind of thing. And you just explore different versions of it. But like you're saying, Miguel, too, it's fun to find another problem that you don't normally deal with. And then I find when I'm, if it's a script I haven't written that I'm going to do, then I go like, well, how do I kind of inject my take of that person's issue? What issues have I had that are similar to that, or that I can relate to that, or that I can imagine I would have, so you're not just sort of pushing pieces around a chessboard.
You want to be a little bit humble by it, like I am confronting this. With this movie, the idea of like reconciling stupid relationships that like were so disastrous and being like, maybe they had value, because I've been in some dumb, bad, stupid relationships, and like
dumb, bad, stupid.
Ones that all my friends have been like, even the kindest ones, been like, I don't know, and I put my friends through a lot.
There you go. Excellent.
So I was like, how do I make a movie where like I come to terms with the fact that maybe there was something good about it? I know there is, but I've never really emotionally just been like, okay, and thank you for that horrible experience. Because
so I always say, every time I'm going through something terrible, I have to go like, okay, this will make a really funny story. Like a year from now.
I know, lucky us that we get to heal through it to a degree if you're lucky.
It's so true.
Yeah, I almost like to maybe a bad point. Like it feels like it's such an actor equality, but like I'll be feeling something or something, in life, and I'll be like, okay, remember this emotion you're having. Right. So you have this kind of like sense memory to like pull back to, because like life's a stage, right?
Yes, it is. I have
just
a question for
moments.
you guys.
Yeah, what's your question?
Did anything interesting happen yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yes.
This is mysterious.
I know, I'm just like, Saturday?
What are we talking about?
What happened yesterday?
Did anything unusual or
just in general?
In your life, yeah.
Oh, that's so therapeutic. Exactly.
Oh, like something like that, maybe?
You recalled yesterday?
I recall yesterday. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know. I feel like you're setting me up for something. I'm like, did something happen?
No, don't worry.
Give me a cue word.
Because we'd like to bring this person in who has a story about you.
Mom? I'm trying to think. You mean like
Anything
I'm reading
unusual?
into it. Unusual.
Or something that you
I
were
had a
like, wow.
very chill day yesterday. I had a really nice day. I got like stoned and walked around Central Park with a bunch of people.
That's nice.
It was really nice. Yeah, I had. It wasn't an unusual moment, but I mean, just like a human self-conscious moment where I think something about, we're all successful people, and we have, we all have our own definitions of success, but I sometimes, you get lost in your own self about like not being enough or being like, where do I stand? Like nothing I've done means anything. No one's gonna remember me when I die. Like the biggest, you can go that
Oh,
deep.
that
Little thing. Yeah. So, but then I have, like I just try to remind myself like these nice moments where I was looking around. I was with a really nice group of people, and we had been talking. Some of them had seen the film, and we're talking about it. And we were just talking about stuff in general. And I was kind of looking at them, and I was like, I got a cool ass life. I was like, I'm surrounded by these like really interesting people that it reflects on myself too, and just like I guess taking a moment to realize in this field it's so up and down, and sometimes you feel like you're like, hello, does anyone respond to any of the art I'm making, because there's so much stuff out there. And then you have other nice moments where you're like, oh, like I do feel like I'm actually part of something, and that this is landing to a degree, and to not be so like, oh, my shit doesn't mean anything, and to be able to enjoy it. Because I'm going to go back to that, probably tomorrow. But for today and yesterday, I'm going to enjoy it.
It sounds like great pot.
It was some of the best.
And the moral of the story is...
Here you go. It was. It had flowers in it. It was wonderful.
How about you, Paul?
Yeah, it was an interesting day. I had a lot of things going on, with the screening, and there was a photo shoot for something at my apartment. But the midday, I just was going through. I'm trying to figure out what my next project is, because my new movie's coming out in September. But I'm just not sure exactly. I had a bunch of options and things I've been writing, and just have one that I'm pretty sure I'm going to do, but then sort of had one of those dark afternoons of the soul where the more research I'm doing on it, you start to go like, wait, is this going to be terrible? Is this going to be good? But and it's such a weird thing, because you have to remind yourself why, what is that moment of creative inspiration where you go like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. And then I find sometimes it just gets so lost in the nuts and bolts of, what's going to happen minute to minute in the script, and what's going to, in the story and all that. And it's interesting. So it's like, it's so much like trying to pick a spouse, or a partner or whatever, because you're going to live with it for 24 hours a day for at least a year, if not 2 years. And, and you just want to make sure the relationship doesn't fall apart. I guess this kind of, it was my duck butter, exactly. But I find, weirdly, I don't know how you guys feel, but I find as my career goes along and I do more things, sometimes it gets harder. I always think it's you'll kind of go like, oh, now you just have all these things lined up.
Yeah.
And you just, because you do more things that you discover you like, and you also do more things that you go, oh, I don't want to repeat that. But it's I don't know, it's a very interesting thing of like, how do you stay connected to something that you have to put so much energy into?
I hate that feeling when like there's a project that I'm like I sign up and I love to do that story, like, and then when I start looking at it, it feels like water going through your hands. All of a sudden you're like, my initial excitement is like just went right through my what? Like and then you're like, oh, and I'm doing it.
Yeah, totally.
And I have to deliver. It's scary to hold on to the initial excitement, because once you've committed, it's like, art is not meant to be, like if we were painting, it would be a lot easier. It's so cumbersome filmmaking that like if you were painting, you'd be like, well, I don't feel that painting anymore. Yeah, exactly. Fuck it, it's just gonna put it in the back room and I'm gonna start a new one.
And nobody's going, you were gonna finish that painting, that painting's due.
There's hundreds of people being like, what about the painting?
Yeah, really. Right.
Do you want me to get the painting?
We have a release date for the painting.
We have a lot of money on this painting. That's true. No, it's just, I've been trying to, this was the first time I had written, and like I'd written with other friends, but like all the way through. And now trying to write again because it was so much fun. Like literally once we finished the movie, I was like, okay, we got to write something again. Like, let's go. And I don't want it to take 5 years. That's what we keep saying. We're like, not this long again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've been trying to write something, for a long time about my family, and another thing that's really personal, but like a story that I'm like, oh, I know this so well. It's all these things, but it reaches on certain themes that I feel like I have to now properly do the research for. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, right, but I am talking about Arabs in America. I guess I gotta dive into that whole fun topic where I'm like, do I, or do I just have to like write the thing I want to? But yeah, I have moments where I'm like, I could see it all so clearly in my head, and I'm just like, oh, that's it, and I get so inspired, and I'm like writing all these like strange little notes, and then the next day where I'm like, this is bigger than myself.
But
Like,
that's
I
the
don't
stuff that resonates the most with the audience is the personal experience.
that version of it, not
Yeah.
the like, what does Islam mean in America today?
Right. No, but it's true. But
a whole
again,
other
it's such an important topic. You want to make sure you're not frivolous about it. But at the same
Exactly,
time, it has to connect. Is it better to just go like, I'm just going to make this thing
Right.
based on what I kind of, bring to it and think about it?
Totally, because that's what art can be. It can be anything. It's,
And you go down that research rabbit hole, which
Yeah.
seems like you're being smart, and then sometimes you go like, I'm just putting off the actual writing.
Exactly.
And also
I'm just
complicating it,
procrastinating.
like putting layers between me and what it should be. I have a fantasy of having when you get an idea, you're really excited, you have it, and you're just like, I'm so excited, this would be such a great story. I have this fantasy of maybe one day, the moment I have that, doing nothing but making the movie till it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
From that moment on, like be like, I'm not even gonna have lunch. I'm just like writing,
Yeah.
casting, and we're shooting, and we're editing, and then it's done.
That would probably be the
Don't
best
waste
way.
1 second, and you lose some weight on the way. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
But it's true. The more time you sit around with something,
Yeah.
the more you go down this sort of spiral, and but then sometimes I go like, but maybe that's when you know it's right. It's just you have to find that moment because there's that blast of energy and you push that through, and then if you get stuck in development hell, then it just all flags off.
And that's the balance of it, right? Because that's what kind of shapes something, is by the way you question it and then be like, no, I do stand behind this thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you have to shape something like that. But it's a tricky process for sure.
No, definitely.
Favorite movies recently? You.
Oh gosh, duck butter. I did love it.
Thank you.
What have I seen? My dirty secret is I don't see many movies. And it's not because I'm so cool or anything. It's just I'm always like in the process of trying to figure out what I'm going to make, and so.
You're watching stuff more about.
Well, no, I'm
into that?
afraid to kind of like start copying something or
Right.
like I'm very susceptible to if I watch something I love, then I go like I want to make a movie like that, and then I start chasing these things around. So it's a Weasley way to say I'm trying to.
Would
I
you
think
say
of what
you,
I've
you
seen
watch
recently.
more
I know, I can't
television than
read.
films, or?
Yeah, but even that, I watch a lot of, well, these days watch a lot of news, which I got to stop doing. Honestly, I have to
Such a
stop
boring
watching
show.
the news. Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem, I find, though, that I'm consuming so much news because of this situation we're in right now, that it's really terrible for your writing. It's terrible.
It is. It's depressing. It doesn't help you write. What's the guy who wrote the Martian Chronicles?
Ray Bradbury?
He came to AFI when I was there to talk. He was so sweet, and he was like, I got the secret of writing, guys. I got it. It's two things. It's simple. Get to the end. Don't talk to anybody till you get to the end of your first, if you have an idea, just don't talk to anybody till you finish. Because if you do, you're asking to shelve it.
Yeah.
And the second one, don't ever watch the local news.
Yeah,
Local news.
true.
You'll be so depressed, you'll never write.
Yeah, and it just takes up all my brain space because I'm getting so angry about stuff and all that I realize it's a wall that you put up. And sometimes I always listen in the car, and recently I'm going like, just turn on music, and so I just turn on my iPad on shuffle,
Right.
and so we all have a bazillion songs in our phone, and suddenly songs are coming up I haven't heard before, and it's like
Right.
I'm getting all this
different
inspiration.
emotions. Yeah.
Totally.
You're like, I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
You
I
need
shouldn't
to
feel
get
guilty
her. You
about
need to
that.
get her pot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
And then
God.
put your iPad.
And just drive around the car.
man.
Well, what is it that you're saying that Neil Young does? Like he wakes up and or used to at least, and get in his truck and just drive around his like huge property. Not that we all have Neil Young's property, but the idea, let's get his property.
Yeah, I asked him at Sundance. I asked him when you wrote the songs that you love the most. What was your morning routine? Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Oh, that's easy. Yes, and there is a correlation."
Oh.
He was like, "It's no distractions."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "No distractions." So the reason I have such an enormous piece of land is so that I can drive in my truck alone to the studio, and it will take me a good 15 minutes to get there.
Right.
Just like driving alone, and with absolutely no distractions. And I think that it is important to like find
Super
the
It's hugely important.
Yeah.
Because I'll usually hole up in my apartment here in New York when I really have to finish a script, and that's what I do. It's just like get up, don't look at anything, and usually I'll just blast through till noon and have like a really productive morning.
Yeah.
And then I always fuck it up because then I go, oh, I'm doing so well. I bet I can kill
deserve
it
a
this
treat.
afternoon.
Yeah.
And then the afternoon is terrible, and you feel like shit, and you go like, oh, today was terrible. But then right around 6, then you have a little blast of half hour, an hour. But
Totally.
But I never learn every time. It's
I
like
do
this
like
is
it.
the time.
it's good to stop when it's good.
Yeah,
Right? So the next morning you're like, oh, I'm excited to go back to it.
totally.
How about you? What's your morning routine?
When I am at home, which has been a little while, but I wake up and I have coffee and juice and toast, and I do the New York Times crossword puzzle, which I have sitting here. Yeah, that's
do?
my favorite routine. Is to
Nice.
do the crossword puzzle, and it's like a nice brain thing without it having anything to do with my life, or really too many other people's lives either.
So are you good at it? You can do
I
Friday
think I'm
and
good
Saturday?
at it. Yeah, there is my secret, or not anymore, is that I cheat. I actively cheat.
Good.
So, I'm not proud of it, but I'm also like, hey, I'm not going to pretend I just never check to see if I'm right. But I do like to check to keep going. But yeah, it does get better because they repeat a lot of the same words and
Well,
stuff.
that's the thing. Once you get the kind
Yeah,
of the
get the
skeleton
language.
key.
Yeah, but I'm really into it. I also do this thing. I mean, I haven't as much lately because I've been traveling, but the Artist's Way. Have you heard of
yes,
this?
of
Yeah,
course,
of course, yeah. And that's something that is I did years ago, and I always keep. And I find, I wake up and I'm like half out of it because, cell phones are obviously now just like a natural, very big part of our lives, and right next to the bed. And it's like, what time is it? Who texted me? What's happening? And it's like before you're even awake.
Yeah.
And when I feel like I'm in my best places, because I also paint too, and I find like when I'm in the best waves of painting is when I just wake up and even like in a half days, just write 3 pages right away, and then get up and start to like slowly wake up and maybe look at my phone and stuff. But you have to always keep getting like, even when you figure out a good routine and you're like healthy and you're like, I'm writing and everything's great. I've never felt creatively, and then it offsets again, because things change so much. So you have to keep at it. But that's what I do. Yeah.
Yourself? What's your...
Yeah, what's your morning
I don't have one, and hence that's why my career is like in shambles all the time. So,
That's what I was gonna say. Shambles.
Way. Your breakfast career is
Maybe in scrambles.
There you go. It's nicely done.
my wife has brought beautiful dogs in my life, so now it involves feeding them, which is really nice and meditative
That's
for
nice.
me. Yes, and I get the time to think. But one of our dogs doesn't eat. She's like a princess, and like you have to entice her with treats, and also with not looking at her the right way or pretending that you're eating in one corner. So there's like this whole
Like a whole power dynamic.
it's like it is pretty intense. I feel like I'm doing theater in the morning where I'm like, but that's it. I create a lot of problems for myself by saying like I gotta be better at this and make less. I want to like write, read, meditate every day, and and then it's like too hard to like I set myself up for like not being able to do it all.
Yeah. We have a lot of expectations on ourselves.
Every day somehow does feel like a failure. I feel like, because always like, I'm going to do all this stuff, and then into the toilet.
Yeah.
And,
Even if I think of one a lot, I'm like, well, I got
know.
close.
Well, see, if we just got up and said, like, I should do this one thing today, and then we would probably go beyond it and we feel good, but we set too high of a bar. Look at us.
Look
We're
at us.
overachievers. Yay, us.
Here we are talking about
I took a year off in my life one time. That was really amazing. That was great.
Yeah, how was that? I always thought that would be a smart thing to do.
It was,
what'd you do?
I think I was really scared. Right after The Good Girl, of like, okay, like I've done something I think maybe kind of decent, and I was like scared to like mess it up. And so I just like did yoga. I was really unhealthy, and so I was like, I'm just gonna do yoga for a year.
Wow.
And so I went to do yoga 3 times a week, and went to the gym 3 times a week. Then I ate pizza like twice a day.
Oh my God.
And
I want to do that.
Yeah,
and I went
Without the yoga in the gym.
And I went to the video store and I rented 2 movies, and I just did what I wanted to do, which was like just watch old movies,
Right.
and read about them, and it was so heaven. I loved it.
Refilling your creative tank.
totally.
It was really, I had such a good time. I realized maybe I don't have enough motivation as a filmmaker because I was like, I could just give that up and just watch all movies for the rest of my life.
Be a historian.
It was good. Have you guys ever taken like a significant amount of time?
Yeah, not like, I don't think I was by choice. No one was hiring me for a while. I mean, when I was young, but when I was 18 and like, it was right after Arrested. I didn't work for like a year. And I lived in New York and was spending my money on like nice clothing and then like gathering quarters to get Thai food for $8. I was like, this pad Thai is exactly $8 and I have the quarters to do it, even though I had bought some like fabulous outfit. But
that's a good priority.
Yeah, it was.
I'm all for that.
Very good. Eating pad Thai and designer clothes. But that's how I discovered painting. I was like seeing someone and my boyfriend at the time let me use his parents' basement in New Jersey and was like, you should just paint in here, do whatever you want. And that's become such a big part of my life now. But because I had the time and the space for it, and it's like I love, acting and making film and stuff, but it is there's something I'm more aware of now of like being hungry just to work all the time. And like, so I finish a job and, your agents and stuff are just like, okay, so what's next? Because we have a month slot to fill in. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, I gotta, I'm proud of this stuff I'm doing, but I'm like, I do need to sometimes be more conscious of taking seconds to be like, right, but how can I think of something to write or even have time to write or even have time to think about what I want to say if I don't consciously take a little more time to just experience other things in life.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally...
It's hard to do it.
Yeah, no, it is hard. I mean, I had times, one specific time where I thought I remember saying like, I should take 3 months off, just take 3 months off. It was right after we finished Ghostbusters. But then like, oh no, I can't. So like, we took a week vacation, and then they're like, okay, I'm back at it. And that 3 months was terrible because like I should have just done it because I just spun my wheels trying to, coming up with this and throwing this out and taking this, but fortunately at the end of that, a script came in that I ended up making. But just go like, I should have just refilled my tank because I think it would have been, that script still would have come in and I still would have had the same response to it.
Yeah, because you have to trust that it's going to happen in like a different way instead of like so much of filmmaking too, and especially for you guys directing, you're answering every question all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like you're just fueled with like questions of everything, like what color, what size, who's this, who's that, for so long that to shut that off, is so tricky. Like, I mean, as an actor on sets, I would realize how sociable I am on sets. Like, you're giving out so much energy every morning. You're like, how you doing, Phil? What's up? How's the wife? Yeah. Like, you're just like and it's so fun. Like, being on a set is my favorite place to be. I love it. Yeah. But then when I'm off, I'm like, literally no one is telling me when to eat, what time I have to go to the bathroom. When, so I'm like waking up and I'm like, I'm going to pee. Does anyone care? Really? And I'm like, this is unnatural. I shouldn't need an AD to be like, to be bidding with on my way to the toilet,
we could hire you somebody full time if you want.
Let's get you an AD full time.
Yeah, right? Just give me a fun AD who's like, you have a 10-minute break. It's hard to shut off.
It is. I mean, my wife was always annoyed at me after I finished a movie because she's like, you're talking to me like you're expecting me to take your every order and command.
Right.
Like, this is not like you telling me what to do. That time of like you telling people what to do is way over.
Yeah, is that right? Your crew is gone.
That's for sure. Yeah.
No, I know. It's definitely you gotta reset.
Yeah.
Hit the reset button.
You have a family?
Just my wife and down to one dog at the moment. We had two, but we just lost one. But
sorry to hear that.
Thanks. But so we're just we've avoided all responsibility with children.
We did too.
Oh, good. Excellent. See,
I like to say we forgot.
Do you? Oh my God! We've heard it here.
You
heard it here. No, I mean, I my wife and I kind of met because we immediately bonded over the fact that neither of us wanted kids. We just knew. I knew from when I was a kid I didn't want kids, and everybody said, "Oh, you'll change your mind. You'll change your mind." It never changed. I have no regrets.
Yeah, we
much.
don't either. Like we had a moment where we were like, maybe she wants kids, but it's not really telling me, and she was thinking maybe he wants kids, but it's not telling me. So we had to have like a difficult week of negotiation. It was like. Right. If you wanted one, it would be fine.
Right.
Yeah, you're like at the same time, 1, 2, 3. I don't want kids. Oh, great. Okay.
And then it was like such a like, oh, we really both feel this way.
Yeah.
So,
I guess you have to go like, all right, don't be polite, just tell me, because that is something. Well, I mean, you. Although my wife is pretty, no, I'm not doing it. It's like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, I think we even had that moment. I think it's more one person worries that the other person is going to change their mind.
Exactly.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, like, are you sure? It's an unusual, like, a lot of couples look at us and are like,
Oh, yeah.
No,
Like,
it's really refreshing to
what?
hear that.
Oh,
I
no,
feel like,
totally.
and not just that you're like, no, we're not having kids, but that it's like, okay, there wasn't some like tragedy as to why, like,
Oh, yeah,
we
no,
couldn't,
totally,
and blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And it's like, obviously, no judgment on people having kids, like the majority, but we're talking
I
about
judge
duck butter.
terribly.
There's too many people. Slow down, everybody.
Well, honestly, I think it is a genetic defect, I think, because if you read
Here we
Dawkins,
go.
yeah, exactly. Well, have you
No.
read Dawkins' The Selfish Gene, which to me is
Yes.
that's the story of everything. That explains life completely.
Yeah. Love that
But
book.
all the genes are all programmed. That's the only reason we exist is to procreate, is to keep replicating our genes. And so that we don't have that draw, there is some sort of X-Men-like mutation that we have, which I think is great, but I always find it interesting in couples. Well, I remember Roseanne when I worked with her 1,000 years ago on the Jackie Thomas show. She's like, "Do you have kids?" And I said, "No, we don't." She goes, "Oh, so you're selfish?" And I was like, "Well, I guess that's a way to look at it."
I mean, how many parents are selfish though, but then they have kids that get
Well,
the rough end of that stick. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, here's my theory, and also why I think people like us sometimes aren't drawn to that. We have a creative outlet, and I think for so many people, your children are your creative outlet. I don't mean that in like a shitty way. I just mean like this is this production you have,
Totally. All their energy.
Yeah, and you get to affect that, and we all day are just trying to figure out what stories we're going to tell and how we're going to tell them, and so see, we can control the cut.
Yeah.
And when you have kids, it's more like being like a hockey coach where you go like, well, there they go. I hope they get the puck in the goal and don't kill somebody.
you can't go back and be like, I'll just take 4 for you today. Oh no. Just did it.
You don't get final cut on your children.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you. That's quotable quote.
I think we have to wrap this up a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been so nice though.
Yeah. It's been so much fun. I'll promote my new movie.
Yeah,
the
let's all talk about
best
it.
movie I've seen recently is my movie. My movie coming out in September called A Simple Favor, and
what is that about?
It's a thriller. It's a thriller, but it's a fun kind of Hitchcockian thriller.
cool.
A million twists and turns, and it's
How fun.
yeah, it was
so
really
cool.
fun. It's Anna
Yeah.
Kendrick and Blake Lively, and as you've never seen them before, they're really wonderful. And we shot in Toronto, and it's
Is it President Day?
present day. It's very, very fun, very stylish. So it's fun.
awesome.
It was a little departure for what I like to do, and yet it's not.
Yeah.
It's sort of you'll see. It's very
Still got the
very
feel.
interesting.
Stamp.
It's got suspense.
Yes, a lot of suspense, lots of twists and turns.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so
That's the
it
new
comes out
shit.
September 14th. Yeah.
I'm so excited. By the way, I just want to say, Spy. It's like I think a work of genius.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I love Spy too.
Oh, thank
It's one
you,
of my
Miguel.
mom's favorite movies.
Oh my God, thanks.
Yeah, it's so fantastic.
Thank you.
It's like incredible. But
very proud
all
of
your
that
work
one.
is great.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Well, back at you. Back at both of you. I know you're both on fire. I love it.
Literally.
Keep doing it. Really good.
Oh, we
Run.
have to wrap it up.
all right, everybody, go have some kids or make some movies. Or
One
if
or
you're
the
really,
other.
really, really
Feed your
stupid, do both.
Have a good breakfast
Yes.
and enjoy your life.
Lots of love.
Yeah.
And lots of love to those guys too. Thank you so much for doing this. This was really pretty gosh darn fun.
I can't wait to see A Simple Favor.
You're going to have to wait. It's out in September, but don't wait to see Duck Butcher.
Duck butter.
It's a very special movie in theaters now and also on VOD.
Listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, head over to iTunes or Stitcher where you can subscribe. And while you're there, rate and review, because every time you do, it helps someone else find the podcast.
Indeed. And while you're digging through our archives, go check out Miguel Arteta in conversation with Patrick Bryce. And, heck, just do it all. Go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Hit us up on all those platforms. And, of course, go check out the pieces that Miguel and Alia have written for Talkhouse.com, where there's amazing written content daily.
Today's episode is recorded by Charles Mueller and co-produced by Mark Yoshizumi. Until next week, I'm Elia Einhorn.
I'm Nick Dawson.
Peace.